This is the 2022 KLR 650, third generation, non-ABS. So this is the most basic model you can get. I was fortunate enough to find the Zombie Apocalypse brown or tan that I've been looking for. I got it for under MSRP, which I'm pretty happy with. It was super easy to buy, real quick in and out the door. I literally just got home from the dealership, and we'll go for a ride here in a minute. But first, let's see how many miles this thing has on it. So look at that, 0 miles. That's pretty impressive. I think it's a pretty good looking bike in person. I got a lot of stuff I'm going to put on it, so I'll try to do a series of videos that kind of show the full build. But enough talking, let's go riding. All right, let's start it up. First time ever on a dual sport. It sounds pretty good. It sounds better in person than it does on camera. We'll let it warm up for a minute. So why dual sport? I've been riding dirt bikes for off and on for 27 years. The last street bike I owned was in 2011, so it's been a long time since I've ridden on the street, and I've been doing a lot of exploring lately, and I've kind of had it in the back of my mind for a long time that I wanted a KLR, so once these came out, I knew I needed to have one. So that being said, let's see how this thing does. Definitely a lot heavier than the KX, that's for sure. That's pretty tall first gear. It's pretty windy today. I'm getting some decent wind right in my face. I can feel it. The windshield setting is on the lowest setting right now, so we'll do something about that. Super easy bike to ride. Up there we just passed 1 mile. Right on the street again is kind of interesting after so many years on the dirt. I've been watching a lot of forums and stuff online, a lot of videos. So far sitting down on it, I mean the pegs are good for sitting down and riding around. The shifter with my work boots is pretty easy to move, and I have size 13, so I do have a new shifter that I will put on it. Wind isn't so bad when you have it at your back. Vibration wise so far, I can feel it a little bit in the handlebars, especially when I grip the tank like this with my legs. I can feel it a little bit, but it's not bad. And I had this CR500 once. It vibrated so bad the first day I rode it, like it actually hurt my hands. But funny enough, you know, I had that bike for years. After that one day, I never really felt it again. So we'll just kind of take it easy on here. So look into the break-in process in the owner's manual. First 150 miles, pretty tame. I think it said in 5th gear you can hit 59 miles an hour. You don't want to go faster than that, really. You can maybe go momentarily faster than that, but you know, you got to keep pretty tame. After you get to 150 miles, and you can step it up a little bit, and then you pretty much ride it moderately until 600 miles. At that point, I'll do an oil change. I'll probably change the doohickey, thermo bob at some point in there. Start putting on a bunch of other parts. But it feels pretty nice just riding it around the streets out here. So you can tell, kind of a cold day. It's maybe 40 degrees outside and a little bit windy. not my most favorite riding weather that there is. But it's a comfortable bike. I really like riding it right now. Center of gravity versus like a cruiser like I had before, it's definitely much higher. I mean, we're sitting here at full right now, and I'd have to look at the owner's manual again, but I think about 6.1 or so on the fuel, so that's quite heavy, and it sits up fairly high. Maybe not as high as a Tenere or anything like that. Kind of why I have the KLR, I guess, versus all the other bikes. I definitely was looking at the KLR as my primary bike I wanted to buy, but I wanted to look around a little bit too. I almost settled on the Yamaha Tenere 700, and I was pretty convinced that I was going to buy it, but the reason I didn't is because looking at there's first gear. So second gear cruises real nice in these streets right now. But anyway, what was I saying? So the Tenere 700, I didn't see any in the dealership that I could find anywhere on online search. I called a few dealerships on the West Coast. Couldn't really find any brand new ones. There's a few that were used, but you know, like they're asking as much as like a brand new. They're asking like 10 grand for, you know, 20,000 miles on a bike. And when I kind of started to do the initial cost of how much it would cost me to do all my upgrades, it was really pushing me pretty hard, you know, up in like the almost $20,000 region for the Yamaha. Well, this bike is significantly cheaper. I got the veterans discount on it. I got, like I said, they had a special for under MSRP, which is great right now because I saw this same bike for sale in Oregon online. They're asking like 8 grand for it before you even add all the other fees. I mean, that's ridiculous, and people can pay it. So, yeah, let's get through the town here a little bit. Maybe we'll go find a dirt road or something to ride on. We're keeping it pretty tame. I want to make sure we get a good break in on the engine. The torque is nice. That was third gear right there. Just, you can really just kind of lug it, and it works pretty good. I'll let this truck go. Looks like, oh, never mind, he's turning. Let's try not to dump the clutch there. That was smooth, huh? So, the sound, it's pretty quiet. I can see riding long distance, it's not too bad. I'm definitely going to upgrade the exhaust, and that's mainly just for the weight of the exhaust on here. Yeah, I'd say I'm getting the wind right now right about pretty much my head. I'm not really feeling it below my head. I'm 6'3", so I'm wondering how much of a difference it makes if I move this up, or I do have some windshield risers on as well, so we're going to try those out. But for such a little windshield, I mean, online it looks bigger, but looking at this thing, you know, I mean, that's my hand. I mean, that thing is not very big, so it does pretty good for what you got. I can tell it's going to be interesting driving the traffic again. A lot less people to run into you when you're off-road. This roundabout drives me crazy. You have so many people who don't know how to use it. They'll stop in the middle of it. Alright, let's try to get in front of that truck. Yeah, it's nice torque. I mean, that's nice, smooth power. I like that. I didn't want any bike that, you know, was going to be high maintenance. I didn't want high performance. I just want to go exploring and cruising, you know. And this bike is, everything I've read is perfect for that. Yeah, it's nice cold wind in your face. Alright, maybe we should start using blinkers for once, huh? Yeah, this is a nice bike. I like this thing. Oh, just turned 3 miles on it. The mirrors are okay. I'm going to replace these mirrors though. The vibration's not bad. I can ride this thing, you know, 12, 14 hours a day and be fine. nice friction point right in the middle right there. Like I said, I like the torque. It's just, you can really lug this thing, I can tell. Let's see, so the foot pegs right now just sitting on here, my legs aren't touching the tank really, or very lightly touching the tank. I don't feel any vibration in the foot pegs, so that's pretty nice. I'm sure once I replace the foot pegs, there'll be some more vibration in there. So the bars aren't bad. Maybe I should turn my blinker off. It's been a while since I've ridden a street bike. The tires that it's using right now, nice and smooth on the road. Definitely a lot different than riding with knobbies on here right now. I'm going to probably ride these tires until they're done and then decide what I'm going to go with. I'm initially right now thinking of the Dunlop 606s. I'm probably going to end up doing about 70% street, 30% off-road, so I'll probably get tires that favor more of the street than off-road. I'm not planning on taking this thing on any insane crazy trails, mainly just fire roads and the street, you know, hop on it for the weekend, go to the coast, go exploring. Like that's why I got it. It's a nice neighborhood, huh? I remember the first time I came back here in the 90s, I used to race this motocross track, and you know, back then you didn't have the GPS and everything, and it was funny. The first time I drove back in here, I'm just like who would ever live in this town? So it's kind of funny that I ended up in this town after so many years. Alright, please don't turn. Yes, thank you. Okay, so far I've hit third gear, I think. So we're just going to keep it nice and tame, pretty easy. I want to make sure I get a good brake in on it. So I think there's fourth gear right there. So I see a lot of people complaining about no tack on it. I don't really care so much for a tack. I have so many years on dirt bikes and you're basically just going off sound and feel. So, you know, I'm not looking down that much to maybe to check my speed every once in a while or, you know, something. But yeah, not something that I think I'm gonna really need. Let's see, there's a dirt road right over here somewhere, not that one. Hey, let's see how it does on this little gravel road. Brakes, pretty moderate. I mean, nothing crazy. So suspension, perfectly adequate for just riding around like I have been so far. I'm curious to see how it's going to hold up once I start doing some harder stuff with this, because I'm a pretty big guy, you know. I did crank the suspension to the hardest setting as soon as I pulled in the garage there, because just sitting on it with the stock settings, I can tell even then it was going to be too soft. But right now, I mean, the forks don't feel bad. The little bit of a washboard road here, the rear shock doesn't really feel bad at all either. The bike feels really stable, you know, just riding on this stuff. I mean, I'm just kind of cruising. It's comfortable suspension. That's why you live in the desert, huh? So you can get constant wind. Alright, let's try standing up. So, yeah, these pegs are awful standing up. This sucks. Oh my god, it just feels like your feet are going to fall off these things. You know, especially as heavy as I am. The ergonomics of the handlebars, definitely not adequate for me. You know, I'm a pretty tall guy. I have some things to fix that. Get a little squirrely right there. But you know, it's doable. I can tell after I kind of set it up the way I want. This is pretty doable. You know, I do want to put some upgraded suspension on here. Well, let's wait for this car. I can feel it sliding around. These tires don't hook up that well. They're definitely not knobbies. They're neutral. Definitely not, you know, knobbies. I can feel them being a little squirrely in that dirt. You got to kind of watch it. You can't get too out of control. They feel great on the street though. But the shift lever is pretty easy to get with my foot right now. I can tell if I had riding boots, it'd be no bueno. Alright, let's try fifth. There's fifth right there. So 41 miles an hour, 42. I'm just barely lugging it. It's real smooth. This is nice. Yeah, those pegs. Oh yeah, you cannot at least be as big as I am trying to ride standing up with these pegs. Your feet are coming off the second you get any moisture on your feet as well. Alright, see how it does on the railroad tracks. Boom, barely felt them. Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, if the suspension, like I said, minus trying this out a bit more, I would say it's not even worth it to upgrade the suspension until you start doing, like I said, more aggressive riding. But right now, just riding on the streets and dirt roads, this is totally fine. This intersection sucks right here. The truckers always come out of this truck stop, and then, you know, they usually don't even care if cars are coming. They just pull out because they don't feel like waiting. Yeah, you can really lug this thing. I really do like the power. I mean, of course, I haven't got on the power at all yet, but it's really, really nice. I like the gearing too. All right, let's try to go. Let's see how we go up this stuff. A little bit sandy. We're just gonna kind of lug first gear up here. Yeah, you can feel it moving around a little bit. It's not bad though. I can tell with how top heavy this is compared to, so I had a KX450 until recently. This is definitely a lot more top heavy. You can really feel in the sand right there. It's getting a little squirrely. I don't want to get in any deep sand or anything until I break the engine in a bit more. But this is why we have a dual sport, so we can go exploring like this on these little back trails and back roads. Get off work, go have some fun. You know, I wasn't, oh my god, let's see ya. Yeah, dude, these pegs, this is horrible. We can fix that though, that's easy. This bike is, I think, made for more just kind of average commuting. You know, maybe at some dirt roads, nothing crazy. There's kind of a little bit of whoops in here. It's not undoable with the suspension. I can tell if I put 50 more pounds on here, yeah, for the amount of weight I'd be carrying, you'd have to upgrade the suspension. But it feels nice. I'm so used to riding around standing up anywhere, so sitting down is kind of rough, but you know, trying to stand up like this, it's, I don't know, this is interesting. See if I can wheelie a little bit. Tiny bit. Yeah, suspension's pretty soft right there. I can, you know, I'm not even pushing it very hard. You can kind of feel it. Not quite bottoming out, but getting there. I'll kind of take this trail back around and then get on some pavement. That gear's a little too high for that. Let's kind of slow her down through here. Yeah, if you upgraded your suspension, you can go through here pretty good. Get good pegs, get it set up the way you want. It'd be fun. Yeah, so far I really like the engine. It's just it's tame, pulls good. It's smooth, at least at these RPMs I'm hitting, which are pretty low. Alright, let's try to find the trail up on here. Yeah, don't you love the desert? Freaking idiots always dumping stuff. Let's hope there's no bodies through here. Alright. I see that stuff all the time. Alright, let's get out of here and get back on the road. Yeah, so initial thoughts. I really like this thing. I mean, I did a ton of research going into it. I mean, I've probably seen every video on YouTube. I've seen every forum I can find. and I had a pretty good idea what to expect. And like I said, it's not super impressive just because it's kind of, I knew what to expect on it. You know, I've seen some people complaining a lot about the, you know, quality and everything, and so far the quality is good. But let's face it, this bike is made to get the shit beat out of it. And it's a budget motorcycle. I mean, you're not spending a ton of money on a motorcycle. You know, because I can buy a couple Yamahas for one of these, or the other way around. I can buy a couple of these for one of the Yamahas. So, you know, it's really, I'm impressed that Kawasaki was able to keep the price low on these. I mean, because they did do some upgrades. I mean, it's not a perfect bike by any means, but that's known going into it. Man, that wind is cold in your face. I am looking forward to spring. So the handguards, we'll see if I replace those or not. You know, if you're worried about levers, I used to run those levers that would go backwards if you drop the bike. I've run bark busters in the past, and I'm not the biggest fan of them. I have broken levers with bark busters before dropping it, but the real dangerous thing with them is that you can, I've had 3 friends break their arms that way. I've almost broke my arm that way, where you crash and your hand falls down and, you know, between the bark busters and the handlebars, and then you know, you break your arm pretty easy. So, you know, I'm not like, I know it's one of those things that a lot of people are like, you know, number one thing they have to get. Well, that's fine. Everybody has their different preferences, but I said, I'm riding around. It's a vicious cold wind right now. These are good for blocking the wind. I have these snowmobile gloves on, and my hands are plenty warm right now. As far as, you know, taking this thing up into, you know, a lot of vegetation, I'm fine with them flexing a little bit because I don't plan to be hitting trees. You know, it's mostly just branches and bushes and stuff. So it just comes down to user preference. Okay, why are we honking? Alright, so here, we'll get back on one of these other side streets. Maybe. I could cut that over that lane, I guess. But we'll wait. But yeah, real nice bike. Up there he goes. He just bought his too. He has a temporary registration on his, which I think I actually forgot to put on mine. Great. Guess that's what happens when you get distracted. Alright, come on. So touching my feet right now, really comfortable for my height, you know, being 6'3", long legs. I really like the height of this bike. I think that, let's cut on this street. I think there's a little dirt road that I can go on the way back home. Yeah, this is a really enjoyable bike to ride. I would say it's more comfortable than my cruisers I've had in the past. You know, it hurt my back on a lot of those other bikes, or the seat, you know, like on my other cruisers, you know, I can go for like 50 miles and I gotta stop. This thing right now, I mean, it's really comfortable. I can, you know, minus, you know, going on some long rides, I can see being on this thing all day is a real possibility. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up to higher speeds and seeing how it feels in, but it's really stable right now. It's pretty nimble too. You can really feel, you can throw the bike around if you want to, but I'd probably be a little hesitant with the center of gravity being so high. I think it'll get away from you pretty quick. Yep, up there. Past a little bridge or whatever this thing is. Okay, let's hope I don't die. Yeah, that's the first thing I learned day one riding street bikes. People don't see you, nor do they care to see you. So it's been years since I've ridden a street bike. Yeah, this bike is perfect for this kind of stuff. Yeah, I have to see how I feel after I get some weight on this bike, you know, after I start adding some accessories, because the suspension feels great really right now for what I'm doing. Like I said, if you add, you know, a good 50 pounds on the bike, that's going to really change the net dynamics of that. There you go, 10 miles on the bike. So I'd probably say this bike is perfect for what it's made for. For if people know what they're getting into buying it, it is the most perfect bike. But you know, you have to understand that it is a budget motorcycle. So if you're going to try to, you know, buy something high end, this is not it. You just have to be willing to fork out the cash for it. And for me, I'm not. I want a bike that I can beat the shit out of. You know, I want it. If I drop it, then you know, it's not something I'd be upset over. It's kind of expected. This would be a great bike for commuting. One of the things that really drew me to the Yamaha was the fact that I can go at highway speeds a lot better. This thing, from everything I've read so far, you know, you can cruise 75, 80. You know, 80 is kind of pushing it. On the interstate, you know, the speed limit is, you know, 70 and 80 out here. So it's usually not my best policy to cruise slower than the traffic, but it's just something I gotta kind of, you know, be accepting, because ultimately this isn't something I want to take on the interstate, except for maybe a point A to point B, you know. But if I'm going to go, you know, ride the length of California or Oregon or anything, it's like I don't want to spend most of the time on the interstate. I want to go on the back roads, and this bike's perfect for that. Yeah, I'm really happy with this thing. So it's kind of funny, when I first started looking at the, you know, different dual sport options available, I was asking some of my buddies about the KLR, and like every one of them, the response like, "Oh, you mean the Roach?" And I was like, "Oh, what's that mean?" You know, it's like, "Oh, well, you can't kill it." And I'm like, you know, without even knowing that much more about the bike, I'm like, that's perfect. I want it, because I want reliability. I want something that I can ride really long distance, low maintenance. You know, I want something I can work on. I don't want to have a bike that every time I need to do anything to it, I need to take it to the dealer. And proven reliability. I mean, it's, you know, minus some different modifications over the years, the engine, from what I understand, is pretty much the same engine from 1987, minus a few little changes here or there. So, I mean, that kind of tells you something. Yeah, with rising fuel prices, it'll be nice to have this thing to take to work maybe 1 or 2 days a week. You know, because I commute, it's probably about 70 miles, you know, 75 miles round trip every day. That adds up. So if you get something that will save you some money, then that's pretty nice. Yeah, so my kind of I guess initial assessment of this thing is it's exactly what I was expecting. It's not the most impressive bike in the world, but that's not what I wanted. I can tell you it feels a lot heavier than my KX, that's for sure. When I was grabbing it at the dealership, the second I kind of started maneuvering it or moving it around, it was pretty noticeable. But you know, it's such a big tank. That's one of the big draws to it I had as well, is the range is just phenomenal. You can go so much further in this bike than others, and you're not running close to reserves, or if you make a wrong turn, have to backtrack, that, you know, you risk running out of fuel. If you run out of fuel with this thing, you know, minus the mechanical problem, then you did not do very good planning, because this bike will more or less outlast the rider. Yeah, real torquey all the way through the power band too. It's not, I mean, I haven't even hit it nearly the high end of the power band, but it's nice. Nice shorts, dude. There's neutral. The shifting's pretty smooth. It's not clunky. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to doing this build on this bike. I got a lot of parts that I'm going to start throwing on it over the next few weeks and few months, and it will evolve. I'm sure it's not going to stay exactly the way I initially planned out, but I mean, I actually ordered most of my parts before I even got the bike. And I was ready, you know. I'd spent months basically researching. I set everything aside, you know, so I can buy everything at once, and it made it really easy. But the things I'm a little that I didn't want to commit to quite yet was the suspension. I wanted to see how it felt. I'm probably going to upgrade suspension, even though it is really expensive, but it's worth it. But we'll kind of see how I do over the next few weeks with this thing, because the way I'm riding it right now, you don't need to upgrade your suspension for that. I wouldn't say waste the money, but it's like, unless you have a lot of money to just throw around, you don't need to. It's not really that important. But as soon as you start doing any much more than that, yeah, you're going to want to upgrade your suspension, that's for sure. So anyway, that'll be it. Thanks for checking out this video, and hopefully we'll have some more.